Hello. This resource is intended to be helpful to organizations considering the usefulness of mediation for them in resolving workplace disputes. Mediation is one of the most efficient and cost-effective mechanisms available to an organization attempting to resolve workplace conflict. Facilitated by an independent third party, it's a flexible and informal process where both parties to the conflict or dispute have equal authority to reach agreements and where their perspective is respected. The process encourages openness and honesty and has the benefit of being both voluntary and confidential to the limits of the law. Workplace mediation is an alternative dispute resolution process where the parties explore their areas of difficulty in a safe environment with a view to reaching a mutually acceptable solution. The mediator does not engage in making judgments. Information learned in the process cannot be used outside of the workplace mediation process, particularly in a formal organizational procedure such as grievance or dignity at work. The settlement terms remain confidential to the parties and to the mediator unless they agree otherwise. Workplace mediation cannot be used as a means of threatening, intimidating, or bullying participants. In some circumstances, and at the request of the parties, the mediator may make certain recommendations for their consideration. We usually provide workplace mediation processes where there is a threat of or real breakdown of the working relationship due to interpersonal differences, at the recommendation of a dignity at work, grievance or disciplinary process, or to assist with the resolution of industrial relations concerns related to, for example, the introduction of change. These types of engagement require a focused and timely approach to reach a long-term solution, minimize costs, and identify potential wider organizational concerns, where the external perspective of an experienced mediator may be helpful. Most types of work-related disputes can be mediated. Workplace mediation can be especially suitable where the aim is to maintain the employment relationship. It can be used at any stage in a dispute, but is most effective if used early on. Workplace mediation has a clear structure and is underpinned by important values and principles which are designed to build trust among participants. Employees are attracted because it can be quick, open, solution-focused, and determined to get a real understanding of the situation. The flexible process can be endlessly adapted to ensure its situational effectiveness. Workplace mediation is informal and non-adversarial. It's future-focused and designed to allow participants consider applying discussions of the present to their future relationships. The parties can withdraw without recrimination anytime. The participants retain control and responsibility for the outcome of the discussions, which ensures their empowerment to sustain the agreed resolution over the medium and long term. The success rate of workplace mediation is very high. The nature and tone set by the mediator is designed to ensure that people feel that the environment is safe for them to speak about their concerns, while also being able to hear, in a respectful way, the alternative view. Attitudes can be challenged and behaviours can be questioned. The skill set of the mediator to structure and facilitate the discussions is most important. While the workplace mediation process is created based on the needs of the particular dispute, it typically involves an initial individual meeting with the mediator to learn the nature of the dispute and to agree a process. This is followed by an agreed mix of joint meetings or meetings with the mediator alone. The comfort of each individual with the process and their perception of being equal is critical to the success of the process and is a key goal of the mediator in facilitating the work of the employees. Parties may bring a representative to the first introductory meeting, where the representative's role and involvement will be discussed. In general, representatives do not attend further meetings, except in the most exceptional circumstances. While the symptoms might be the same, people feeling excluded, argumentative working relationships, poor communication skills, difficulties accepting change, there can be a myriad of causes. The mediator will aim to understand the underlying causes. The mediator will usually try to meet with the parties individually before the first joint session. He or she will want to discuss with the parties his or her role and how the process would operate. The mediator will get a clear perspective of the different elements of the dispute as understood by the parties, and assess the impact of what has been happening so far on the parties. Having got a sense for the history of the problem, the mediator will try to learn what are the participants' future needs and expectations. The mediator will typically want to know the reasons for the conflict, any actions taken, and the impact of these actions. The mediator will be interested in learning whether others have been involved in the conflict and what each party to the workplace mediation hopes to achieve from the process. This work will enable the mediator to develop terms of reference for the process and the consideration of the participants. A further meeting with the individuals may be required to clarify any of the information given at the first meeting and to cross-reference any issues with the other participants. The mediator may take advantage of the second meeting to discuss the format and behaviours expected in the joint meeting, if it is decided to go forward for a joint meeting at that time. The purpose of the joint meeting is to establish a safe and structured environment where all participants involved in the dispute or conflict can meet one another to engage in open and honest dialogue. Its purpose can be to develop an action plan and agreement about how best to work together and to consider the longer-term requirements and follow-up arrangements. People are expected to behave respectfully towards all other meeting participants, to try not to interrupt others, to listen carefully and to respect the right of others to speak, and to expect the same respect for their own views. Shouting or abusive behaviour will not be tolerated. The mediator will facilitate the meeting, manage the safety of the environment for the participants, ask open questions, clarify contributions, and ensure that everybody's contribution is heard and valued. The format for the meeting is flexible, and while all the discussions may happen in joint session, the mediator may decide to have one-to-one meetings before, during, or after the joint session. This would usually happen at the discretion of the mediator or at the request of any of the parties. The mediator continues to be available to the parties as they engage with their commitments going forward. Outcomes can be a series of agreements and understandings recorded by the mediator. An action plan with timelines, future interventions involving a wider group, training and development needs can also be identified. The settlement terms remain confidential to the parties and to the mediator unless they agree otherwise. Good conflict management works to identify and focus on the dispute and not to deal only with the manifestations of conflict. You should look at the conflict holistically. Effective conflict management works on building consensus while ensuring that the rights of the parties in the dispute are upheld and that power is used appropriately. This may involve the development of relationship-building initiatives and the creation of objectives for the achievement of an effective relationship. Fort HR Solutions provide services in the full range of alternative dispute resolution processes. We have a range of experience to deploy for individual and collective workplace disputes and would welcome an opportunity to respond to a contact from your organisation. We put our energy into facilitating the parties and actively engaging in creative thinking. We don't own the process or the solution. We recognise that conflict must be managed and that the process can be an answer to this management requirement.